Hi, welcome to Mary's Stitching Corner. My name is Mary and this is my channel about cross stitch. If you're new, welcome. I'm really glad you're here. I hope you like what you see, and if you hit like and subscribe, that would mean the world to me. And if you are returning, thank you so much. Thank you for coming back with my erratic filming schedule. I told you last time I thought I would be able to film more regularly, and here we are 2.5 months later. But I did film last month. I just couldn't get it uploaded. My phone, I was filming on my phone like I usually do, and after about 10 minutes it said, your storage is full. So I gave up on that and filmed on my iPad. The filming went well. I started to upload it and it disappeared. I tried to upload it again, and then I could see the original one still trying to show uploading. So I would delete that and try and upload again, and then that would disappear. So it just kept disappearing. And so anyway, I got a new phone. So here we are, fingers crossed. And yeah, I just filmed about half an hour of this and made a complete mess of everything. So here we go again. I have the house to myself today, which doesn't happen very often. So I'm trying to take advantage of it. And I have a lot to share. I have, let's see, 14 FFOs. I have 7 FOs. And I have about 15 whips. So there's a lot to go through. I hope that you're doing well. Thank you for coming back and going forward. I hope that things can be done more regularly. But let's get started, because I am surrounded by tons of stuff. So I had everything organized when I started filming before, and now it's all in a jumble. So I'm not going to go through and organize it again. So it is what it is, and we'll see how it goes. So the first 4 FFOs that I'm going to show you, I took to Hobby Lobby to have framed. And so we'll start there. Let's see, I've got everything back to front. So the first thing I'm going to show you is called Glasgow Skyline, and it's by X-Stitch by TA on Etsy. If you're new, I grew up in Scotland. I moved over here when I got married, over to the United States when I got married. So you're going to always probably see a mixture of Scottish stuff and patriotic stuff, American patriotic stuff. So it can be a little bit confusing, but there you go. Anyway, so this is Glasgow Skyline. I grew up in Glasgow in Scotland, and I really like this. And yeah, I just chose a simple black frame, and I love how it turned out. So this was stitched on 18 count Aida that I dyed myself, and I just used DMC 310. And I love it. The next thing I got done is something I stitched a minimum of 15 years ago, and I did it for my mother-in-law. And I did it for her birthday. My husband was on the way to take it to her, and he got in a car accident, and he was fine. The car was totaled, and the frame was in the trunk, and the frame got completely smashed up. And it was just one of those things that we brought it home, threw away the frame, and then we were moving and it got put away, and I didn't find it until towards the end of last year, and my mother-in-law passed away in November of last year. So I got this done in memory of her, even though she never got to receive it, which I feel sad about, but every time we look at it, we'll think about her. And this is Footprints in the Sand by Leisure Arts. And I don't know anything about anything. I know it's stitched on linen. It's probably the code for DMC. But it's so long ago, I don't remember much about it. And I tried to find a frame that reminded me of like driftwood. And I really like, you know, this has got bits that look like they're pieced together, different shades and stuff. And I just really like how that turned out. This is American Sampler by Plum Street Samplers. And I modified it from the original chart. The original chart had a lot of wording down there, and I decided just to take it out. And I love how it looks. My husband is American, and so I do stitch a lot of patriotic things. I think this frame works really well. I'm very, very happy with it. This is 20 count vintage country mocha using all the called for floss. And that house took forever. I was very happy when that was done. And this, I love this. I love how this turned out. This was my birthday start 2 years ago, so May of 2024. And I finished it last year. And yeah, I just love how it turned out once it was framed. So this is floral composition 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think there were 4 charts. You can stitch them individually or put them all together like I did. And this is it. This is one of my favorites. I think the frame just makes everything pop, and I love the colors. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. I love Jardin Privé. They're one of my favorites. And here you can see the frame. And this is 20 count. Let me see. It might be 18 count antique white using the called for DMC. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, just message me, because there's going to be stuff that I don't remember, even in my current whips. So just reach out and ask, and if I can answer your questions, I will. Let's see. All right, so those are the ones I got professionally finished. I have quite a few that I finished myself. So let's see. We'll start with Winter Quaker by Primrose Cottage. I love these Quakers. I've done quite a few of them and have quite a few planned. So this is stitched on 18 count white Aida. It's using a Threadworks floss, but I cannot remember what it is. Just if you would like to know, please ask. And finished it into a pillow, and I think I will do a trim around this eventually. But I wanted it done and on display for the winter, so. This is January from Sheep Calendar by Lotus Lake Stitching, I think, and Karen the Stitching Owl and I are stitching all of these. We're doing them individually and stitching one a month. So this is January. And again, I may do some trim around this at some point. And this is February. This is Flag Flock by Plum Street Samplers. And I just turned it into a pillow. Partly because when I cut it down to frame it, I had cut it too short for a frame. So it was easier just to turn it into a pillow. This is Easter Lambs by Doreen Jones. And there's a set of 4 in the chart. And it's just a tiny ornament. So cute. This was stitched on 14 count white Aida using the code for DMC. So I plan on stitching a few more of these. There's a lot of back stitching in those, but it's so cute. This is Valentine's Day Quaker by Primrose Cottage. Stitched on 18 count white Aida using Classic Colorworks Watermelon, I think. And it's just attached to a wooden block that you can hang, or it's thick enough that it just stands by itself, which is what I did. Let me see what this is called. This is called A Picture of Winter by A New Creations by Allison on Etsy. And I know she had done a spring. I'm guessing she's done the whole 4 seasons at this point. But I love this one. And this is just a frame I got at Hobby Lobby. I like to go down when they're having a 50% off sale and pick up a bunch of frames. This is 18 count Smoky Blue by Fabric Flare. And I just used the code for Floss. This is Summer Notes by Shepherd's Bush. This is 32 count Ledger by Be Stitch Me, I think. And I used a mixture of the called for floss and just floss from stash. And the buttons. I always try and get the buttons that are called for. I've done lots of these notes and I just bought 2 more. And I have 1 more upstairs. So 3 more at least that I'm going to do. And this is Lucky Notes by Shepherd's Bush. And this one usually sits here. I can't figure out how to, there you go. Usually sits right there. My husband did hang some shelves for me, so I am able to display some of my finished pieces, which I love. So, and the last one, I just finished this last week. This is St. Patrick's Day Quaker by Primrose Cottage. And I stitched this on 20 count Ada antique white using the called for DMC. So my mother was Irish. She grew up in Ireland. My dad is only second generation Scots. So on my mum's side, I'm first generation Scots. On my dad's side, I'm third generation Scots. But when you go back, yeah, we just go back to Ireland on both sides. So when I did my DNA, I'm like 99% Irish. So I love to do the Irish projects. Okay, so those are my FFOs. And these are some of the things that I finished. These are my finishes since I saw you last. So this first one is Strawberry Goose Switch by Fine Frog Stitching, which I stitched along with Karen the Stitching Owl, Karen the Twitchy Stitcher, and Laura Stitching by the Shore. So this is stitched on Magical Clouds by Fabric Flare using the code for DMC. This is Bony Bunch by Plum Street. Stitched on, it might be Night Sky by Fiber on a Whim. 18 count using called for DMC. Actually, I think the called for was for overdyed floss, but I didn't have that, so I just used the DMC conversion. This is Valentine's Day, or Valentine's Terrarium by Tiny Modernist. Stitched on 32 count Stormy Night using the code for DMC. I've done, I think this is the third terrarium I've done. I did Christmas and I did Halloween. I think these are really cute. And this is the March sheep from the sheep calendar. And I did change the color of the house because the called for floss just disappeared into the fabric. So I think the roof is the called for colors, but the blue is much darker than was called for. We'll be starting April in the last week of March. And then these next three are freebies from Primrose Cottage. If you sign up for their newsletter, once a month you will get a free chart. And I've really loved all of them so far. And I think they're available for free through their newsletter for that month, and then they're for sale after that. So there's been a few floss tubers have stitched this one. Sweet Sayings Valentine's. And I thought the colors were lovely in this one. And I apologize for all the wrinkles. If I had to iron everything, this just wouldn't get done. This one is Lucky by Primrose Cottage. And this is a 14 count green Ada that I got from Hobby Lobby. And I did change the color on some of this because the green that was called for was just too close to the fabric color. And I just finished this yesterday. This is Spring Blessings. Again, another free chart from Primrose Cottage. And this is Smoky Blue by Fabric Flair. And I used the called for DMC. Okay, so those are my finishes. So I have some new starts. Some of those obviously were starts and finishes, so a lot of them you hadn't seen before. But I have three, I think I have 3 new starts that you have not seen before. Take that back. I have 3 new starts that are now whips. Obviously you would not have seen them before because they're new starts. So let's see. The first one is by Little Dove Designs. It's from her Seasonal Circles series, and this is Winter. I'm stitching this with Karen, the Stitching Owl, and we are planning on stitching all 4 seasons. So this was the first one. Let me show you a picture first. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. Absolutely beautiful. And this is where I am. So this is 18 Count Grey Magic by Bestitch Me. And I'm using the called for DMC, except for the white, where I'm using white Floss. And the reason I do that is because I can stitch it with 1 strand, and it looks much neater than trying to stitch with 2 strands. For me, at least, I can never get my whites to look nice. So, and right here, that will say the word winter once I put the back stitching in there. So I love this. We're gonna start spring at the beginning of April. And I doubt very much I'll have this done by then. But that's okay. Where to put everything. Okay, my next new start is, see, I moved everything when I filmed the last time. And now I don't know where anything is. Let's see. Here we go. I started this one with Laura on Valentine's Day, and also with my friend Patty. She is Freakin' Froggin' on Instagram. And it's Pink Peacock Sampler by Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitching. It took forever to decide on a floss for this, and now I can't even tell you what it's called because I couldn't find the tag. But if you want to know, please reach out and I will. I know I have it somewhere. I just need to find it, and I didn't have the time this morning, so. This is, okay. This is 20 count White Ada, using a variegated floss from Threadworks, which I think is gorgeous. I ordered a whole bunch of pinks, and it was really hard to decide which one to use, and this is the one I decided on because the darks and the lights both show up. Some of the other ones, the lights just ghosted on the fabric, but I think this is just so delicate and pretty. And Laura and I stitch a lot of Pansy Patch and Blueberry Ridge designs. We have a lot of them going right now. And my final, no, I've got 2 more new starts to show you. Okay, the reason one of the reasons I had to start filming again is because I kept messing up this segment. Because I couldn't say the words. This is a stitch along that I'm doing with quite a few people. It's for Melanie from Uplift Stitch's birthday, and she started a stitch along, and honestly I'm not even going to try and say it because then I'll have to start over again and I don't want to. So I will link this stitch along down below. And I started this with Karen D, Laura, Amy from Renewing Stitches, and Patty's going to do it. She just didn't start on the same day as we did. Kathy's quilts, since I'll link it below. I don't want to mess up your floss tube name. So we all started on March the 4th, which was Melanie's birthday. And if you want to see amazing progress, check out Karen the Stitching Owl's video next time. She may even have it done by next week. She's over 50% already. I'm trying to see what way is up. Okay. All right, so I only stitched on it the one day that we started. So it's got just over 400 stitches right now. Let me show you the picture. Here's a picture. And my tiny start. So this is being stitched on Morning Fog by Stitch Me, 18 counts, using the called for floss. 2 of them are overdyed flosses and the rest is DMC. So I'm looking forward to stitching more on this one. I've kind of what's the word? I had too many things going on this month, too many challenges that I was trying to keep up with, and so this one didn't get as much of a start as I would have liked. But it started, and that's what counts. And my final new start is, I just started it this morning, so it's tiny. I think I got 220 stitches. And this is Spring Quaker by Primrose Cottage. Let me find a picture. And this is it. So I chose to go with a variegated floss from Threadworks. I just love their flosses. And this is quite variegated, but with it being pastel colors, it's not crazy. It doesn't show up quite as crazy as some of them do when you stitch them. So this is the floss I'm using. So it goes from purple to blue to green. And I'm stitching at 1 strand, so it's very delicate. And it's 11311. And this is my start. So this, I think this brings me over to from edge to edge. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So that's how wide it's going to be, and it's 80 by 80 square. So I hope to get this done this month. This is now my morning stitch. I always have a small project on the go every morning, which is the first thing I stitch when I get up. I like to get up early before anybody else is up and use that quiet time to stitch. Okay. All right, those are my new starts. So I do whip go every month, and I do a minimum of 1,500 stitches on my whip go projects. So this month, the projects that were called was Blackbird Sampler by Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitching. For whatever reason, this one has been such a challenge to me. I just keep messing up. I don't know why, but I got my 1,500 stitches into it, and I'm enjoying it, even though every time I pick it up, I make mistakes. I think it was this part I messed up this time. I started stitching it in the wrong spot. This was, the outline of the border was all done until I realized that the whole bottom was off by a stitch, so that had to come out. Yeah, I just had so many mistakes on this, but I think it will be worth it in the end. So this is being stitched on 20 count. Let me see. Okay, I don't remember the fabric, but it's by those missing stitches. So if you want to know what fabric it is, just reach out and I will look it up for you. And I'm using one strand of Onyx by Weeks Dye Works. So I was very happy to have made some decent progress on this time. My other Whip Go piece for this month is Peace on Earth by Leela's Studio. I'm stitching this with Laura. This was our New Year, New Start. And I had a real struggle trying to find a fabric for this one. I wanted to stitch it on a blue, but there's so many blues in here that I was just afraid the blue wouldn't show up on the fabric. So I went with my kind of my fallback fabric. If I can't find anything else, I choose this. And so this is I think it's 18 count vintage country mocha, and using the code for DMC. So I think I've stitched around 700 of the 1,500 so far, and I've been working in this, so I've almost finished this motif right here. I just have part of a pair to finish here, and I think I'll continue working across this way. But I've done the summer Quaker and the spring Quaker. Those are already framed. In fact, I need to put the spring Quaker up here. So once I finish this, I will do autumn, and then all four will be done. I love these. So And Laura put a lot of work into hers in January. She made it her daily stitch. And so I am almost positive that she's quite a bit further along than me. So check out her channel to see what progress she has done. Okay, so those are my 2 whip goes. I will mention, if I remember, the whip goes I worked on in January and February as we go through my other whips. So these are just my regular whips. I pulled out everything I felt I made decent progress on. I didn't want to show you something with 50 stitches. So this one is Halloween Sampler by Blueberry Ridge Designs. And I started this one with Laura last year. And I've actually pulled this one out quite a bit. I think this was a whip go. Let me check and see. I think this may have been a whip go. Yeah, this was one of the whip go numbers for January. So I got 1,500 in January, and then I do think I've pulled it out for different challenges. And this is where I am. So I have been working down here. I'm almost done with that section. So I'll finish that section up and then I'll start working up, because I was afraid with the problems I've had with Blackbird Sampler that if I messed up, that everything would be out of alignment. And you can see that these houses right there just go straight along the middle, and I didn't want to get to that point and realize I had messed up. So I finished the border and then I started down here just to make sure this section here was in the correct place. So I think this will get done this year for sure. This is 20 count something from those missing stitches. Again, reach out if you want to know. I love her fabric. I thought I was organized, but as always, there's something you forget to do, and checking on the fabrics was what I forgot to do. This is also being stitched with 20 count black onyx, no, 20 count onyx from Weeks Dye Works. What am I saying? Oh my gosh. I'm stitching it on 20 count Ada. I am using 1 strand of black, of Weeks Dye Works onyx. My goodness. Okay. Let's see. So for March, I've been trying to do monochromatic March in the sense that I want to touch all of my monochromatic pieces throughout the month. It's not the only thing I'm working on, but I think I have, or will have 9 by the time the month is over. And I wanted to give them 3 days each to do a minimum of 200 stitches for each of those 3 days. And then with the leftover days, just touch things that I wanted to do some extra work on. It hasn't worked out. I have touched, I kind of planned out what days I was going to do which project, and I have touched each one that I planned on doing, but only maybe 1 day. Again, I just overscheduled myself for the month of March, and it's also been quite busy. It's been a busy month, and so I just didn't get enough time to do as much as I wanted to do, but I will touch all of them before the month is out. So I've been doing monochromatic March with Laura. And this is a project that we started together, I think, for Christmas in July. Trying to move my needle minder. So this is Christmas Sampler by Blueberry Ridge. And this is what it will look like. Now, funnily enough, this one went into Pattern Keeper. All of her others did not. So I don't know why this worked and the other ones didn't. I did reach out and didn't hear anything back. But it's very nice that this one is in Pattern Keeper for sure. So I am stitching this on 20 count white Aida, and I'm using Classic Colorworks Apple Fritter, which is one of my favorite variegated reds. And when I'm using a variegated floss, I do like to just use a simple white to make everything pop. White fabric to make everything pop. So I've been enjoying this quite a bit. So I'm down here working on this house, and I hope to get back to it before the month is over. And you know, I do a lot of challenges and pull these out whenever I can. So I am all tangled up. There we go. Okay, my next whip is another one I started with Laura and another Blueberry Ridge design. And I don't have much done on this one, but it is Sampler Seasons Winter. I think we started this on the first day of winter. And I also think she's much farther along than I am. So I'm actually using the called for Floss, which is Shepherd's Blue by Weeks Dye Works. And I am stitching it on vintage Stormy Clouds, something like that. Because if you grow up in Scotland, winter is very grey and gloomy. So I thought this would be a good fabric that would set off the colour of the floss. So not a lot done. I think I don't think I have too much to do along here. And I want to say this is the bottom of the piece. So here we go. I am planning on stitching this month. I hope I can get more than just a couple of 100 stitches in it. And all of my projects, except for the really small ones, are on my Whip Go chart, so they will be called at least once throughout the year for Whip Go. And this is something I pulled out for some challenges and made pretty good progress. This is Rest and Be Thankful by the Cricket Collection, right here. And I've just Let me pick everything up. I've just been working away on the cottage. And this is 36 count. Let's see. 36 count wheat from To Dye For Fabrics. I'm using the code for DMC 1/1. So I've actually been really enjoying this one. I don't usually like to stitch on linen, but I have enjoyed this one quite a bit. I do have quite a bit of linen here, so I'm trying to use what I have. So this is a challenge that I'm working on right now. So on Whip Warriors, they have a challenge called Lion versus Lamb, where you work on a full coverage piece and do 1,000 stitches on multiple pieces, or stitch as much as you can on one piece. And since I only have one full coverage, I'm just stitching on this all month long. And I was trying to do 200 stitches a day, but right now I'm kind of between 100 and 200 because there's just too much to try and get done. So this is Butterflies in Bloom by Doreen Jones. Absolutely love this one. I'm stitching, well, I was stitching it with Karen D, Amy, and Laura. And I know Karen and Karen D are done. I don't know if Amy's done, but I'm at 53%, something around there. And it's one of my favorite pieces to stitch. The colors are just so cheerful. And here we are. So I'm working row by row and parking, as you can see. That just, with full coverage, that just helps me stay on track and not mess up too much. So, yeah, I was stitching along the other day and I realized I had started the other butterfly without realizing it. So this one right here, I've been so focused on the purple one that I just thought the other day, oh my gosh, this is another butterfly right here. So I love this, absolutely love it. She has 2 other butterflies in the collection, which I hope to stitch also, but I'm not going to start one until this one is done because this takes a while. So I love it. And this is being stitched on 18 count Silver Mist, using the 2 strands of code for DMC. This was a Whip Go call for January. Let's see. For February. And this was my birthday start last year. And I absolutely love how this looks, but it's one that I don't want to pull out very often. But when I do start on it, I really enjoy it. So I don't know what the problem is. So this is Jardin Privé sampler, or medallion sampler of medallions. I love the colors in this. And I have finished 2 pages and started on the 3rd. I'm stitching this with Patty, Freakin' Froggin' on Instagram. I love it. I need to pull this out more often. with my birthday starts, I don't like to drag them out too long. So it will be a year in May. So I do need to focus on this because I like to get them done within a year or 18 months. So I've been working up here on this. Another whip go for January. The Shack on the Shore by Flossabilities. This is a mess, but you'll get the idea. So I finished Cabin in the Woods at the end of the year. And I'm stitching this with Karen, Lee. Actually, Lee finished this already, and Laura. I think that's it. So, because of Whip Go, I got 1,500 stitches done on this. And this is where I am. So I worked on the border and along here. So this is Magical, oh wait a minute, Magical Clouds by Fabric Flare. And using the code for DMC. It was nice to pull this out in January. Get a taste of summer. I think this one I just pulled out for some challenges. So I don't have a ton done, but this is Heart of Autumn by Little Dove Designs. I finished summer, and Karen D and I are going to be stitching Heart of Halloween for halfway to Halloween. I don't know if we're starting in April or May, but that will be fun. So I think I started this last September. And here we are. So I've been trying to do, there's a lot of white stitching in here, which I don't like to do. But so I've been trying to do some white, and then I've been working down here. And this is Cafe au Lait by Fiber on a Whim, using the code for DMC. It would be nice to think I could get this finished by autumn, but we'll see. Another one by Little Dove Designs is Meant to Be. And I haven't made a ton of progress on this, but this is where I am. So basically I've been working on the house. I started in the upper left corner and I'm just working across. This is 20 count Lugana, which I do not like stitching on. I'm using one strand over one, and using the Call for DMC. So it just, yeah, it's a very different fabric than I'm used to. But I will persevere. This one is in memory of my Aunt Jean. All right, 2 more. This is this was a whip go for February, and this is Balloon Glow by Dimensions Gold Collection. And I got 1,500 stitches done. So I started in the center right here, and I've been working down. And it's been hard to find a rhythm with this one. There's a lot of, I don't know, there's something about it that just, I haven't been able to figure out the best way to do it. So normally I like to work in rows or columns, and yeah, this one I'm kind of all over the place. But I think once I get to the bottom, I'll try and take it all the way along and then work in rows going back up. We'll see. But as always, I really enjoy the Dimensions designs. As you can see, I have one right here. That one is something. Oh my goodness. It's a Charles Wysocki design. It will come to me. But I've done quite a few Dimensions kits over the years, and I have, I just bought one thanks to Melanie of Uplift Stitches, and I was gifted one by my dear friend, and I have another 2 sitting in the wings waiting to go. So, but they're so stitch intensive that I don't like to have more than one on the go at a time. But Melanie, she was stitching on one as a focus last month, and she made such amazing progress on it. It looks fantastic, which is why I had to go buy it. So my last whip is kind of my focus piece for the year. I started this last New Year, so it was the New Year, new start for 2025 and I started it with Laura. And Andrew, the runner stitcher, had his Whip into Shape challenge last year, which I chose this one to work on. And he started a Whip into Shape for this year. And this has been the project again that I've chosen, because I made amazing progress last year thanks to that. And I'm also pulling this out for any focus challenge that there is. Whip Warriors, they have their Strident Sal once a month, and this is what I'm choosing to do every month. And Laura has her Spotlight Challenge once a month, which I'm choosing this one for. And so my goal is to get this done this year, and I'm at, let me think, 68% right now. So this is I forgot the name of it. Oh my gosh, Black Roses. Oh, Black Roses by Owl Forest Embroidery. You've seen it a lot because I've been showing it almost every time for a year and a half, almost. Yeah, a year and 3 months. So this will be it when it's done. But Laura and I have decided we're not doing that bottom row of roses. We're going to end with the row above there. And I am so excited because I'm almost done with the building. And I reached the lady, if you want to call her a queen or a witch or whatever. Laura said she reminds her of Maleficent, and she definitely does. So, see if I can show it. Here we are. This is 68%, and you can see I've got this much left of the building. I will be so happy when the building is done. So, but it looks amazing. I love Owl Forest. I did Black Vintage Sampler, which is framed and hanging in my craft room. And yeah, I just love their designs. So I will continue to put as much work into this as I can. This is 18 count antique white Ada, and I'm using 2 strands of DMC 310. So it will be a very happy day when I take this to the framers. So that's it. That's all of my whips. As far as plans go for the next few weeks, I have a planned start with Laura next week, the first day of spring. We are starting Spring Sampler by Blueberry Ridge Designs. I will be starting the April sheep calendar, and I will be starting at the very beginning of April the spring seasonal circle by Little Dove Designs. That's what I remember. Okay, there may be more, but off the top of my head, that's what I remember. So I have other starts planned for throughout the year, but for right now, I'm just focusing on the next few weeks. So I hope to get some more fully finishing done. I think I did pretty well for this year so far, and I'd like to keep that momentum going. I have a lot of stuff to finish, to fully finish, and that's something that I do need to focus on, because you know, you spend so much time on your project and then it just lies in a box or in a drawer or whatever. So my goal is to get more fully finishing done. And yeah, I think that's about it as far as stitching goes. Let me check my notes just to be sure. Yep. So if you're here just for the stitching, thank you so much for being here. And I hope you are well, and I hope that you are finding lots of time to stitch. And I hope to see you next time. So, life update. There's not a lot that's been happening. We've had some gorgeous spring weather. This winter has been, I think they said, the mildest and driest on record. So we haven't had, well, in the valley, we've had hardly any snow at all, which will be a problem as far as the drought is concerned in the summer. We get most of our water from the snowpack, and yeah, there hasn't been a lot. Now there's still time because we've been known to have snow through May, but yesterday we were at 70 degrees, and tomorrow will be in the 40s, like the low 40s. And then by the end of next week, we'll be in around 80. So welcome to spring in Utah. So other than that, it's been a busy month, been a hard few weeks. But we're taking things day by day, and we have booked our first trip away for the year. We'll be going back to Swan Valley in Idaho, which is a place we went to a few years ago and really enjoyed. And so we're looking forward to that, and we'll plan a summer trip and a fall trip. We travel in our RV. Yeah, that's about it. There really hasn't been a lot of excitement going on, so yeah, kind of boring. So I'd like to say thank you so much for stopping by. I really do hope that things are going well for you, and I appreciate you being here. And please take care, and hopefully I'll see you in less than 2 months. I'm planning on a month, so fingers crossed. And take care and happy stitching. Bye for now.